castle where the digital dreams come alive. CESCG takes place from May 1 to 5, from visualization to the virtual space. Scientific sessions take their place.
Hello, I'm Lucia Ondovčíková from the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava, and I'm here to discuss about adapting design methodology to enhance physician workflow in inflammatory bowel disease electronic health record systems. What is the research motivation? In the field of inflammatory bowel disease, there are a lot of unanswered questions about how the disease behaves, because each patient has different symptoms and it is difficult sometimes to establish a right treatment or to find correlations between disease parameters. Another fact gathered from interviews from with domain experts, like in general context, is that the research is slowed down due to inadequate software usability of electronic health record systems. And the research goal is to create a prototype that assists doctors in disease monitoring and data aggregating for research purposes, involving domain experts during the development of prototype. At first, I have to introduce related work, which was the main pillar. So at first, Kenichiro Fujita's et al. Works introduces breakdown of electronic health record systems. The main idea is to decompose a complex problem into small parts, which he called primary types, to make data more readable and manageable and understandable based on the identified attributes. Author further proposes design principles listed on the slide. These rules provide detailed information how data should be organized and visualized. And from them, he derived three main view types. Design 1, data are arranged in time series, and on select, they extend to provide detailed data. Design 2 arranges data into two-day metrics with axis, primary types, and timeline. And the third one arranges data in time series, and on click, it provides also detailed information. What is also important to mention is the current IBD registry called UR-Care is the only publicly accessible tool of IBD EHR kind. It's a national research database project that facilitates data collection on IBD symptoms. The main parts are EHR management, then it's filtering for aggregating patients into groups according to set conditions. And the third one is statistics, which provides descriptive stats and simple graphical visualizations for a selected filter. The problem with this IBD registry is that it's focused mainly on research, thus not aligning with physician workflows, and it's hard to use for them. Why we have taken the basic structure of information architecture from this application, but we have changed the entire flow of IBD management to better align with their daily workflow. So we have introduced current problems in the IBD domain, like bad IBD data management, bad data interpretation, wrong information architecture, not good support for research questions. So now it's important to find suitable solutions. So our work proposes a new approach of data visualization for IBD EHR systems. So the first and the most important part was to break down IBD data into primary types, what is shown in the figure, what concludes into simplification of this system. Systems in general are not structures ideally, so also we needed to simplify the information architecture of IBD EHR system, and our system, it's on the next figure, consists of IBD health register, what consists of patient records, and the next one, a research part, consists of filters and studies. Filters is for creating subset of patients, which are subsequently used in studies. In order to make the data representation more suitable for domain experts, we used advanced visualization developed in direct collaboration with them. This timeline is based on design 3, which I mentioned before, but it's extended with domain-specific parameters which were needed to better data reading. It organizes data in time series, and detailed informations are provided on demand. The C section, which is this line, it represents the identified primary data, which are consultations and other examinations, and the A, B, and D sections are complementary data for the C section. The A section is current patient treatment. The B section represents conducted operations, and the D section is specific index, which was also needed to visualize for the main expert. What is also important to mention that the whole application is in Slovene language to better align with the language of domain experts and the patient's IBD data. Now I will show the main part of information. We are in the patient consultation overview. So at each visit, the doctor selects the option to add a new consultation. The first step is an initial analysis of the patient's health, what includes performation of various indexes that are important in context of the disease. Then the next one are further examinations which are needed to be performed for further analysis of the disease, its laboratory tests and imaging screenings. And the final step is to analyze the response for the current treatment and, if necessary, to change it. The second part of the application is the research-oriented module, which consists of filters and studies. The filtering section, the doctors are able to filter a subset of patients using simple conditioning. These filters are next used in the study section, where domain experts can visualize the parameter correlations in a simple way. So in order to design the proposed system, we needed to adapt the traditional double diamond methodology as illustrated in the figure. The process doesn't follow the predefined order of phases, which are the red lines, but rather transits between them as required. These extra steps were really needed as during development we have observed that the phenomenon of rapid iterations. It means that after every session with domain experts, we had to analyze gathered informations and incorporate it rapidly into the prototype to present updated user interface in the next session. Another interesting fact during development of the system we have observed is that in traditional approach, there's a large accumulation of data during the discover phase, as is illustrated in the figure, and the second smaller peak is in the develop phase, as the users have the designs in front of them and they can use it. In our case, the largest peak of information was in develop phase because domain experts could visualize, could use our prototypes and provide us better feedback. I have created an IBD electronic health record interface design with research-oriented module using newly created domain expert-centered methodology. Due to these collab sessions, we established rapid prototype iterations which lead to better feedback from domain experts. That's all from my side, so thank you.
Yes, thank you for your talk. Are there any questions in the audience? Yes, I will.
Actually, I have a question for the ending of the presentation, where you mentioned about gathering the data from the experts as better feedback, because now they didn't have to visualize what you mean by what you want to create for them, but actually they have the information, they have the prototypes. Isn't kind of waiting for this phase to have several prototypes developed a bit more expensive than just have first some images or something like that in the first design phase? Or how do you tackle this problem? If it could be expensive, what were the problems here?
So you are right, it was really time consuming, but also it was really needed because it was like imagination behind imagination, and sometimes it was really hard to communicate our ideas, and in this way it was really simpler in this, using this type of methodology, aside from like static pictures.
Okay, so maybe just the follow-up question. As you said, you were having a few prototypes. These prototypes were actually fully developed, or is there was some wireframe, or what were these prototypes that you were showing?
They weren't fully developed, but the main functionality was capable of visualizing their ideas and our ideas and to cooperate, something like that.
Okay, so you shifted the design from wireframes to some simple implementations of GUI into the development phase, so it was easier for the user to see not just wireframe but the main the simpler functionality, so they could understand it better than just visualize of how it should work when you are just trying to show them and explain them in the design.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, another question from the audience? No, in that case I will ask one. So you said you focused on the domain experts. What I would be interested in, did you also conduct some evaluation when you show patients this data, for example, this timeline view?
I didn't fully understand the question, so can you repeat it?
Yes, you focused on the domain experts, so the medicinal personnel. But did you also consider that this kind of view could also be helpful for the patient to see his recovery journey?
Yeah, I understand. So this prototype is only for domain experts because aside from EHR management, what's aligning physician workflows, not like patient consultations or something like that. It also includes the research part, what is not suitable for patients.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? No, then I think we can move on to the next talk, but first a big applause.
Listen to the beat where the pixels play, from rendering to VR, it's a pixel away.